Everyone, can you hear me?
Good morning, sir. Sir.
Someone please confirm again whether you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Yes, sir, you're
Yes,
audible.
sir.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I can hear you also. So I hope that everything is okay from your side also in this pandemic time.
Yes, sir.
And let me say in clear words that your first priority at this time should be your health, right? And I am taking your lecture as well as tutorial. So you can discuss any doubt anytime in any class, whether it is lecture or tutorial. And we will keep this syllabus as simple as possible so that you don't have to worry so much about these academic things. And still you have any doubt, you can ask me always. So let us assume that this is your first class, although it is second class, but let me assume that this is the first class.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, is this class for D1 or D2 or both?
It is for both D1 as well as D2.
Okay, sir.
By the way, have you seen your results, first semester results?
No, sir.
Not yet.
No, sir.
Sir, the date they said was 22nd, sir.
22nd of June. Maybe. So maybe it is still under processing because most of the departments are not working at this time, or they are working at a slow speed because there is a lack of staff in these days. So can you see this screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So this conversation is being recorded. You can get the copy of this recording after the class, and I also provide the PDF copy of whatever I write here. I will upload it in the Teams account, so you can access these files from Teams accounts as well. So this is like a Blackboard teaching now, right? You can assume it as a Blackboard. You can interact with me. My camera is not good, otherwise I could have enabled my camera as well. So let us discuss about the syllabus. So this is the syllabus. You can see it on your screen. It consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 units, right? So usually 3 units comes in the mid-semester exam, and at the end semester exam, all 6 units comes. And if you see carefully, part of every unit you have already studied in your 10+2 exam. Like you are aware of, or at least you have heard these names: gradient, divergence, curls, Gauss theorem, Stokes theorem. What are the use of it that you may not know, but at least you have heard the names. Biot-Savart law, you all are aware of from your 10+2, right? Magnetic field due to circular loop, you already know it. There are some new things as well, like magnetic vector potential. Similarly, in unit 3, Faraday's law, you know. Self and mutual inductance also, you know. This 4th unit is completely new for all of you. So we will give sufficient time for this unit. Then magnetic properties of material. I hope you are, at least you have heard the name like diamagnet, paramagnet, ferromagnet. What are the properties of these things? We will discuss whenever the time comes. And in the last unit, solid state physics, Here also you have studied a little bit like X-ray spectra, Moseley law, X-ray absorption. Bragg's law, I don't know, you may or may not know. Compton effect, I think you guys know from your 10 plus 2. So roughly 40 or 50% syllabus is already known to you, and remaining 50 to 60% syllabus is new. So syllabus is designed in such a way that it is not completely new or it is not completely strange thing. We will start with whatever is already known and we will go to next level. Yes, unit 4 is slightly, I mean, it's not difficult, but it's the only thing which you will start learning from now. And quantum mechanics is the real physics. Whenever we say classical physics, Newtonian physics, all these science are approximate science. The real exact science is quantum mechanics. So we will discuss what it is whenever the time comes. So let's start with the first part. Gradient, divergence and curl, Gauss theorem, Stokes theorem, Gauss law, and some Poisson and Laplace equations. So have you heard these names? Gradient, divergence?
Yes, sir. In first semester in mathematics, we heard these names.
So if I ask you in very simple word, what does gradient represent?
Differentiation.
Normal vector of a plane.
Differentiation, okay.
Normal vector to a function.
It's a normal vector. Normal means perpendicular, making 90 degree. With what?
Yes, sir.
Sir, tangent to the plane.
Normal vector to tangent to a plane, huh? So obviously this part is correct, and I think you are not much clear about the second part. Perpendicular to what, right? Tangent to a plane, and what kind of plane are we talking about? Let us say we have a function fxy. So it's a curve, like let us say fxyz, it's a surface. Now what kind of plane are there? So we will discuss what it is, and obviously it is a differentiation. What about divergence?
Sir, divergence is just like gradient, but in this we include the direction, vector form.
Okay. So it's not like gradient. Okay, so we will discuss what is, and what about curl?
Sir,
So let me tell you in a very rough way what does divergence represent. By the way, what does diverge mean?
diverge is changing direction.
Changing direction, not only changing direction, it is like, let us say this is a road. Vehicles are moving on this road, and let us say this road expands in time. So it's like road is diverging in many directions, right? So diverge means like
Okay.
some kind of expansion, or you can use it in other words also, like some kind of shrinking. Curl, curl means like curling. It actually means sense of rotation. Like a road is something like this. Okay, so this is like a curly road. So when you have a functions like these kind of functions which rotate, it means they have certain curl. If you have a functions which have some sort of like let us say function represents the motion of fluid, and fluid is going out from, let us say there is a water source, and when I switch on this water source, water flows out in all directions. Like, so in simple words, we say that water is diverging in all directions, or in mathematical sense, we say that this water tap has a positive divergence. So from this water source, water is going in all directions. Okay. So we say that it has a positive divergence. Things are diverging out from here. Let us say we have a sink. Sink means it can collect water and there is a hole at the center. So whatever water we throw in this sink, all this water comes towards this hole, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
so we say here that it is diverging. Actually, it is shrinking. Or in mathematical sense, we can say that divergence is negative here. Okay. So these terms are the mathematical tool to define the flow. Okay. A flow is given by some equations, and to get some meaningful output from these equations, we use these terms. What about curl? Let us say water is flowing like this. Like sometimes we see this kind of flow in a storm whenever we have a low pressure at the center and high pressure at the outer boundary, the air starts flowing in a circular form. In that case, we say that it has some positive curl. Okay, and if it is flowing in the clockwise direction, we say it is a negative curl. So this is just a rough definition. We will discuss all these things now in terms of math. So let me first give you the formula of gradient only. And let us start with simplest possible case. One variable. One variable means, let us say, sin x. Okay. Let me plot it also. So this is fx, this is x, right? And this is the plot of sin x. I want to know the rate of change in fx with respect to x. What is the rate of change in fx at this point? Or what is df upon dx at different point? So df upon dx here is, you see, if I move along x a very little bit, how much is the change in fx? It's extremely small, very close to 0. It is 0 at x is equal to pi by 2. What about here? You can see change in fx is quite high here, right? Obviously, it is not 0. It is something we can calculate, right? So here, change in this variable, we can calculate very easily in one dimension. But let us say we have a function in 2 dimensions. What kind of function? So it has now 2 variables, x comma y. And what sort of functions should I write? Let us say this. Can I plot it geometrically? So let
Yes,
me
sir.
try. So let me try, although it is not easy. So this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. So x is horizontal in the plane of this board. Z is vertical in the plane of the board. Z actually means F. Okay. And Y, it is perpendicular to this board. Now, how do I plot this function?
Sir, it will be like a pot along z-axis.
Sir, it is like a cone whose vertex is at the center and axis is z axis.
So you mean something like this?
3D parabola, sir. 3D parabola.
Rounded.
Right.
Sir, it,
Okay. So
not
let me guide you. I mean, there are many methods. Let me start with some easiest one. If x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, what is f? 0?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let us keep y is equal to 0. So y is equal to 0 means
Z is x square.
it is always xz plane, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In xz plane, y is always 0. So when I keep y is equal to 0, this look like a parabola, right? What kind of parabola? Like this. Now similarly, let us keep x is equal to 0. This means it is a yz plane. So it is a parabola in this plane also. Let us see this. And if both are not 0, then now it is a surface, and this surface has to pass through these curves also, right? Because whenever you put y is equal to 0, the surface will align with this curve. Whenever x is equal to 0, surface will align with this curve. So you can imagine like this is the surface. Let me complete it. So this is a kind of parabolic surface, right?
yes.
Now what about derivative of this? Let us say I want to see derivative at this point. So at this point, x is equal to x0. There is, let me write it here. This is x0, y0, and correspondingly z0 is equal to x naught square plus y naught square. Okay, this is the point. What is the derivative here?
Sir, a plane.
Okay. Although it's not a good sentence, but let us write it. Derivative is a plane. Or I think you are trying to say that derivative is in a plane, right?
Yes, sir.
Any other answer? So obviously there are some difficulties now in order to define derivative at this point. And why are we getting this difficulty? Let's go back. Why it was not difficult to define derivative here? Because here we know where do we need to go. We can go either towards right or towards left, right? So there is a sense of direction, but we do not care about this direction because there is only one direction here. But now here is a problem. Which direction should we move to calculate df? Should we move in this direction? Should we move in this direction? Should we move in this direction? All these directions are tangential to this point, but there are many tangent here now, right? And depending on which direction are we trying to go, this df can have many values. It may have some values in this direction. It is like df1. It may have some values in this direction. That may be df2. This may be df3. There are infinite answer of this df, right? So how do we define derivative here? Now here we get this term, gradient. So let us define first the definition of derivative. In the 1D case, what was the definition of derivative? df upon dx. But now there are many directions. So let us define df first. So you can see, if I go in any direction, let us say I am going along df1. So when I am here, I am at a point x0, y0. When I am here, my x0 has changed, y0 has also changed. x0 has gone from x0 to x0 plus delta x. y0 has moved from y0 to y0 plus delta y. This delta x and delta y, I don't know. Maybe that delta y is 0 along this line, only delta x is changing. Maybe along df2 both are changing. Maybe along df3 one is increasing and other is decreasing, right? So it all depends on the behavior of delta x and delta y, right? So let us write a general answer for df. And if we use, if we use pure mathematics, how do I write this df? Okay. For instance, let us say I am moving in a direction that y does not change. Means I am moving along the surface in such a way that my y remains constant all the time. Then how much is the df? Only this first term. Means I am moving only in the xz plane. If I move only along the yz plane, if y is changing means yes, yz plane. Then first term is 0, only second term will change. And if I'm moving randomly on the surface, it means x is changing as well as y is changing, and I can calculate my df from this formula, right? So this is the change in this function. But can I write it in a more elegant style? So I am going to write it again in a somewhat good manner. What I'm going to do is this. So this is unit vector. This is unit vector. Okay. Dot product with what? Okay. Let me call it. Let me write in word. Gradient of f, function of xy. So f is a scalar function, but gradient of this function is a vector function. F is scalar but gradient of f is a vector. Okay, what is this? This is the infinitesimal movement. Means if I go along only x direction, then my dr is dx only. If I go along only in y direction, then my dr is dy only. If I go in some other direction, accordingly I can calculate my change in position. So what is the change in function? Complete change in function. I can write it like, now I am going to use a symbol for it. Vector del f xy dot d. Okay. Now I want to know, any doubt up to here? यहां तक किसी को कोई डाउट है?
No, sir.
All right.
No, sir.
Now I want to calculate maximum value of this. Can you please tell me what is the possible maximum value?
Sir, cos theta, sir, that one, where theta tells to 0.
Right. See, this is a vector. Let us say this vector is this. Okay. This is the vector that we decide whether we want to move in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, or this direction, right? What these functions say? If you are going along in this direction, then how much is the change in function? This value. Okay. If you move in this direction, let us say this is the del f. This particular vector is del f. If you go along this direction, how much is the change in function? This product. If you move along del f itself, then how much is the change? Now it is a maximum change because cos theta is 0, cos theta gets maximum value. So maximum change is how much? Just the mod of it, right? Or if I want to know the direction along which function shows maximum change, then what should I do? यदि मुझे ये पता करना हो कि ये फंक्शन किस डायरेक्शन में मैक्सिमम चेंज शो करता है, मुझे क्या करना होगा? I need to find gradient, and obviously when my dr is parallel to this gradient, my function will show maximum change, right? So this is how we define gradient, and using this gradient we can find the change in variables. We will cover this part in complete detail in lecture classes, so don't worry if you don't get much. This is tutorial class, but since this is first class, we are discussing some small amount of all these things. So how do we define gradient? For any function, in general, a function can be of any number of variables. Let us say we have 3 variables. What is the formula for gradient? I del over del x
del f by del x plus j del f by del y.
This is what? This
Gradient.
is, what is the name of it?
Gradient.
Gradient, or we also call it del operator. Okay, this is operator. This is not a number, right? You can see there is no meaning of it unless you put a function to it. Now we have given a function here, x by z, or sorry, let me write in words. Okay, so this whole thing have some meaning, right? Only this first part, which I write as del operator, it has no meaning. It gets some meaning when you apply it over a function. Or in words, we say that this operator is applied on this function. That's why it is called operator. It is working on something. इसका खुद का कोई मीनिंग नहीं है, पर ये किसी फंक्शन के साथ जब अटैच होता है, it give you some meaningful result. What about divergence? Let me give you formula first, because we will discuss all these things in the lecture classes. So what is the meaning? What is the conditions for gradient? Function is scalar, right? We always have a scalar function here, and gradient is a vector quantity, right?
Sir,
Yes,
sir,
yes.
you said the condition gradient being vector quantity is a condition for
Sorry. Okay, so
this.
let me use some other word here. It's not a condition.
this.
So let me use remarks. In gradients, we always have a function which is scalar. Okay, and
Fine, sir.
gradient is always a vector quantity, right? What about divergence? So we will discuss physical interpretation of divergence later. Let me just give you a formula for now. I am writing scalar function as small f, and I will write vector functions as capital F. So let us say we have a function which is not a scalar, which is actually a vector. Vector means this can be written as
So
something like xyz. This is the x component. For example, like let me use xy square I cap plus z by x square j cap plus x cube y k cap. This is a vector function. Okay. So in 3 dimension it has 3 component. In 2 dimension it will have only 2 component. Divergence is always defined for a vector function. And how do we write divergence? It is actually this: del operator dot product vector function f. Let us simplify this. I cap del over del x all right, dot product with Now let me write only the symbols here: fx, I cap, y component, j cap, z component, k cap. What is the output? This operator will operate on this whole function. Let me write completely. So I del over del x dot this whole thing plus j del over del y dot this whole thing again k cap del over del z dot this whole thing again. What about this first term? Any answer for this first part? This part.
Del fx upon del x plus del fy upon del x.
See, here we have I cap. I cap dot I cap is 1. I cap dot j cap is 0. So del fy upon del x may be non-zero, but I cap dot j cap is always 0, so we don't have to calculate this term. I cap dot k cap is also 0. So what is the first non-zero term from here?
Del fx upon del x.
Del fx upon del x. Similarly, from second, we have only one non-zero term. All other two terms will be 0. Similarly, from this, right? What is this? And this is divergence. All right. So what is the property of divergence?
It is like non
It is calculated for
linear.
vector function, right?
Yeah, it is a scalar result.
And it is a scalar. Okay. So this is the meaning of divergence. What about curl? So I'm just going to give you mathematical formula for now. We will discuss meaning of all these terms later in the lecture classes. What is curl? Curl is also calculated only for vector functions. How do we write it? Del operator, cross product, vector function. So how do we write curl? It is I del over del x, j del over del y, k del over del z, cross product with fx, I cap, fy, j cap, fz, k cap. Any idea what is the answer now? So again, we will have to expand it like this. But now we have, instead of this dot, we will have cross, right? I cross I is 0. I cross j is k. I cross k is minus j. So we will get first term 0, second term is non-zero, third term is non-zero. From the second part, first and third term are non-zero, second will be 0. In the third part, first and second terms are non-zero, third will be 0. So in curl, we will have total 6 terms. And you know how do we calculate curl? We make a determinant and we calculate a determinant. So we are going to apply that shortcut here directly. I cap, j cap, k cap, right? Then these elements, del over del x, del over del y, del over del z. Then these elements, fx, fy, fz, and determinant. इसको सॉल्व करेंगे तो क्या आएगा? I cap del fz over del y minus, right, plus j cap, and now order will be reversed, right? Del fx over del z minus,
Sir,
yes,
sir, here minus j.
where in the second term?
Yes, sir.
You put minus j here, then your first term will be what? Del fz by del x, right?
Yes, sir.
So I have put minus sign inside. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
It's your choice whether you put minus sign here and then this first term will be negative, second will be positive. Del fy over del x minus del, sorry, yes, right, del fx over del y. So this is k cap, sorry, this is curl. So what about curl? It is calculated only for vector functions and output is, output means curl. Curl is a vector, right? What was the input? We gave a vector function in input, which was this capital F. What we get in output? Again a vector function. So for curl, input is a vector, output is also a vector. So these are the functions, and you can see the formulas are simple, although we do not know yet the use of this formula. But now I want to discuss something more important now. Gradient in polar coordinates. Polar coordinate means, let us say, 2 dimension only. Two dimension means, so I have r, theta, these are the scalar variable, and what are the corresponding vector quantity, r cap and theta cap. So let us say I have a scalar function, this. How do I calculate gradient of this function? Any idea? Let us say this is this. It will be some surface and I want to calculate gradient for this function. What should I write?
can we do it like r cos theta is equals to x and r is equals to root under x square plus y square?
So you want to convert this function into Cartesian system first, and then you want to calculate gradient, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
That is one technique. Okay. I think so this is the only way. So let me ask you even more simpler question. Connection between, so let me write on this side Cartesian system or coordinates. And here let me write polar coordinates. In Cartesian coordinates we mean for scalars we have x and y. For vectors we have the basis vectors I cap and j cap. What about here? Here we have r and theta. What about corresponding unit vectors? R cap and theta cap. So if we want to write all these things in polar coordinate, obviously we need to know connection between these things. And I think we know the connections also. What about x by r theta? Right? Or we can write in reverse style also. What about these now? Do we have any relation between I cap, j cap and r cap, theta cap? So when we say I cap, j cap, what we mean?
Unit vectors.
So let us say these are the coordinate system, right? X, Y, and let us say we are at this point. So what is I cap here? This is I cap. This is j cap, right? The length of this vector is 1. Length of this vertical vector is also 1. I cap is always towards right? And j cap is always towards vertically up. What about r cap and theta cap? So let me first define the coordinate system for r theta. So in r theta system we have a baseline like this, and we have a origin. So let us say this is the origin. Okay. And how do we define these unit vectors? Let us say we want to define unit vectors at this point. What is the method to define RK? Start from here and go towards this line like this. Let me put dots here. So unit, I mean the length, a vector with length 1 in this direction, this is r cap, right? What is theta cap here? Theta cap is a vector perpendicular to it, anti-clockwise direction, means this. This is theta cap. This angle is 90 degree. So how do we write connection between these two?
Sir, can we write r cap cos theta is I cap?
Okay, so let us go a bit further. What is the nature of I cap j cap? If you see carefully, I cap j cap can be written as constant vectors. Why constant vectors? Magnitude 1, it is always 1. Whatever direction, the direction is always same. If you are here, this is I cap. If we are here, again direction is this. Let me call it I1 cap. Let me call it I2 cap. What is I2 cap minus I1 cap?
0.
It is 0, right? Let me call it J1. Let me call it J2. J2 minus J1, it is also 0. Okay. That's why I say that I cap, J cap are constant vectors. Do we have the same conditions for R cap and theta cap?
सर
So-
r cap के लिए होती है, theta cap के लिए शायद नहीं होगी.
So let me choose some other point. Let me choose here. And now let me define R cap, theta cap here. So what is R cap? Start from here.
Both are different actually.
And at this point, go in the same direction by 1 unit of length, this much. Let me just cut remaining part. Okay. Let me call it R2 cap. Let me call it R1 cap. इसको यहाँ से घटाना है. This is theta 1 cap. What is theta 2 cap? Perpendicular to it, this. If I ask you R2 cap minus R1 cap, is it 0 or non-zero?
It is non-zero, sir.
And similarly, you can see, and obviously, if R2 minus R1 is not 0, theta 2 minus theta 1 is also non-zero. Or I can say that R cap and theta cap are variable vectors. Variable vectors means R cap is actually a function of R and theta. If you go at various points, your R cap changes. It does not remain same. Similarly, theta cap is also a variable vector. Although magnitude is 1 all the time, but since direction is not same, it is still a variable vector. Right? So ये एक बहुत मेजर डिफरेंस है कार्टेशियन सिस्टम में और पोलर कोऑर्डिनेट्स में. यहाँ आई कैप जे कैप हमेशा फिक्स है, कोई चिंता नहीं करनी. बट आर कैप थीटा कैप में दिक्कत है. मैग्नीट्यूड हमेशा 1 रहेगा इन सभी वेक्टर्स का, बट फिर भी वेरिएबल है क्योंकि डायरेक्शन वाला कंपोनेंट इनका चेंज होता रहता है. डिफरेंट पोजीशंस पे आर कैप का ओरिएंटेशन और थीटा कैप का ओरिएंटेशन भी सेम नहीं रहता, बदलता रहता है. इससे प्रॉब्लम क्या आएगा? इज देयर एनी प्रॉब्लम इफ यू हैव अ वेरिएबल वेक्टर? लेट मी शो यू व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम. We will try, but let me give you the answer here. डेल ऑपरेटर पोलर कोऑर्डिनेट में क्या है, कैसे आया, हम दोबारा डिस्कस करेंगे. आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू आंसर ओनली. दिस इज द डेल ऑपरेटर. इससे प्रॉब्लम क्या होगा? लेट मी कैलकुलेट डाइवर्जेंस. डाइवर्जेंस कैलकुलेट करने के लिए let us say I have this vector function f r cap del over del r theta cap 1 by r del y del theta. What is f? f कुछ भी हो सकता है. Let me write some general answer. f r, this is the real component. F theta, this is a theta component. Can you please tell me what is the answer?
So it will be del fr over del r plus 1 by r del f theta over del theta.
Let me tell you. This is not the answer. कहाँ मिस्टेक हुआ है?
R dot R cap will not be 0 because they are not perpendicular, I guess.
Okay, so let me tell you where is the problem. Let us write piece by piece. Dot fr r cap plus f theta theta cap plus theta cap 1 by r del over del theta dot same thing again. Now let us simplify. So how many terms are there? There are actually 4 terms. If you see, this operated on this first term, this operated on this second term, this operated on this third term, this operated on this fourth term, right? So let me discuss first term only here. What is this? R cap del over del r dot product with fr r cap. What should I write? R cap del over del r. Now see carefully. This is a variable, right? What about this? This is also a variable. Means क्या लिखेंगे आप यहाँ पे? fr dot r cap plus r cap del over del r. अब डेरिवेटिव लेना है r cap का डॉट f. कार्टेशियन सिस्टम में ये टर्म 0 था बिकॉज यहाँ पे कांस्टेंट यूनिट वेक्टर था. तो आपको सिंपली ये सॉल्व, ये तो सिंपल है. डेल एफ आर ओवर डेल आर, ये वाले टर्म से क्या आएगा? सो दिस इज नाउ समथिंग कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. और कॉम्प्लिकेसी क्यों आ रही है? क्योंकि इसका आंसर हमको नहीं मालूम है. ऐसे और भी टर्म आएंगे, डेल आर कैप ओवर डेल थीटा कैप ओवर डेल आर, डेल थीटा कैप ओवर डेल थीटा। क्यों नहीं आई थी?
उधर एक कांस्टेंट वेक्टर
दिस वाज ए कांस्टेंट, राइट? सो जैसा कांस्टेंट को बाहर निकाल लेते हैं, एंड वो प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पे आसानी से सिंप्लीफाई नहीं होगी, बिकॉज नाउ वी हैव ए वेरिएबल वेक्टर्स, वी नीड टू नो आंसर ऑफ ऑल दीज थिंग्स। ओके, सो दिस इज द कॉम्प्लिकेशन हियर। सो व्हाट वी नीड टू आंसर नाउ, सिर्फ इतना ही काफी नहीं है, हमें और क्या क्या रिलेशंस पता करने हैं दो सिस्टम्स के बीच में। लेट मी राइट ऑन द राइट। ये तो पता है आर कैप थीटा कैप का कनेक्शन आई कैप जे कैप से क्या है। आई थिंक ये बहुत मुश्किल नहीं है, बट इसके अलावा ये एडिशनल टर्म, क्योंकि ये कार्टेशियन सिस्टम आपको कभी देखने को नहीं मिलेंगे, बिकॉज दीज आर कांस्टेंट वेक्टर्स, बट यहां पर यू विल हैव। सो एक तो इनके बीच में क्या रिलेशन है ये पता करना है। सेकंड, ये चार डेरिवेटिव्स का मीनिंग क्या है। अनलेस वी नो दिस मच इंफॉर्मेशन, वी कैन नॉट गो फ्रॉम कार्टेशियन सिस्टम टू पोलर सिस्टम। जब तक इतना इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं होगा, वी कैन नॉट स्विच। सो लेट्स स्टॉप हियर, एंड डोंट वरी इफ यू डोंट गेट एनीथिंग हियर। यदि आपको इसमें से कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आता है तो अभी परेशान नहीं होना है। ये सब हम आने वाले 5-6 लेक्चर्स में डिस्कस करेंगे विद ए स्लो स्पीड। सो इट जस्ट ए समरी ऑफ व्हाट वी विल डिस्कस। इसमें से कुछ आपने पहले पढ़ा होगा, कुछ पार्ट आपको अभी नया देखने को मिला है। So let me take the attendance. Yes.